kicked my cheating wife from the house, and using all the evidence I gathered to crush her. Hello everyone. First and foremost, I want to say how much of an important role this subreddit played in the journey during the last 2 years. Finding an escaped event and to read that you are not the only person experiencing a life-changing moment at the exact same time was therapeutic in a way because of all the positive feedback and not so positive feedback, wake-up calls, that fellow Redditors post. My story began in April of 2019. My marriage to my spouse of 12 years at the time was rocky. Just like any marriage, we were going through a patch that I thought we would prevail together and come out on top as we always have. Boy, was I wrong. A little about me and my ex. We had 4 kids. Me 39, ex 37. Had a house, great jobs, and financially very well off. Looking from the outside in, life was good. It all started when my ex got a job in a heavily male-dominated career field. She started to get all this attention from her coworkers. Little by little, I started to notice changes. First changes were she went on a healthy eating working binge, which I was cool with. Fast forward, she lost a lot of weight, looked amazing, and not that she didn't look amazing before, because I will readily admit she was the love of my life, and no matter what, she looked like I loved her for who and what she was. In fact, this love blinded me so much, so I wasn't ready for what was to come. After she got super fit, her attitude started to change so much that even her own family asked her why she was hot crap and acting like she was in her late 20s again. Red flag. One day during an argument we had over some BS, I suggested if she wasn't happy we should consider a divorce, because it had gotten to the point everything I did was wrong. No matter how hard I tried, it was never good enough and I could never make her happy. Red flags. Of course, she said that she was heartbroken when I told her that. At the time, she always kept talking nonstop about this guy at her job. The way he dressed, how smart he was, educated, etc. Red flag. At the time, I didn't think anything of it because I had no reason to distrust my ex. As time went on, we got over the divorce issues and I started to notice behavioral changes. Coming home later and later, not interacting with the kids, always trying to work on the same crap with the guy, and always wanting to hang out with the younger crowd at work, at bars. Red flags. While she did all this, I, in my dumbass self, thought that the problem was me. I took care of the household, kids, cooking, wanting to go out of my way to make her happy. It was never enough. Red flag. In the fall of 2019, I started to notice that she always kept a close watch on her phone. Now, I don't want to give out too much identifiable information to protect my identity and the identity of my ex, but let's say I have an investigative background. At this point, my spider senses were up, and I employed some countermeasures to figure out what was going on. Previously to this, I never snooped on her phone, but when I did, boy, what I found. She had sent this coworker what she alleged were unsolicited breast pictures. I confronted her on that, and she said that she was taking them for herself because she wanted to look at something. Again, played it off, but that's when I began to suspect something is not normal. After that, she went out with her coworkers one day and didn't come back till almost at 3 in the morning. I was furious when she came home. I confronted her, and she said that I can't tell her what time to be home. At that point, I knew something was wrong. About a month later, I managed to get access to one of her devices. In the device, she was communicating with her coworker, expressing how much she loved him and how much she cared for him and how much he opened her eyes. Needless to say, I was devastated. I forwarded all those emails to my phone and confronted her shortly thereafter. I kicked her out of the house. She didn't know what to say. Fast forward, like an idiot, I forgave her in January of 2020. So for the next couple of months, we worked on our relationship. We tried to work on each other and to be the best parent we could. However, the gaslighting was still there, but happiness was there. There was nothing that I can do to make her feel fulfilled. In the fall, this is when the second D-Day occurred. Make a long story short, I'm not going to get into details again to protect our identities. She got involved with another coworker. This time around, she said she was moving out, decided to move out of the house, leave me here at the house with the kids. At the time, I already knew what was going on, so what I did for 30 days, I gathered and collected information. I used all that information to confront her about her infidelity while she was still married. I used that all to my advantage and as part of the divorce proceedings. The state that I live in is very strict, and when you are found to be unfaithful, the courts do not look favorably upon you for monetary reasons. My divorce will be final by the end of this month, and I am happier than I have ever been. The sad part about all this is our 4 kids. They did not ask for this, but here we are. I'm trying to be the best dad I can, and I'm glad that I stayed in the house with my kids. She decided to move to an apartment by choice. I just want to thank everybody on this sub for being so helpful in understanding during my crisis. In the beginning, it was very difficult. Every day waking up, that was the first thing I thought. Going to sleep was the last thing I thought. But with time, little by little, That light kept coming and kept coming, and every day was getting better and better. I can sit here today and say that I am happy. I am happy it worked out the way it did, and I am happy that my kids are happier than they were 2 years ago. I usually don't post, but I wanted to post this so that those who are going through the same thing know that you are not alone. There is hope, and time will heal all bones. Everybody's timeline is different. Just focus on yourself, focus on your healing, and focus on doing what makes you happy to get you through whatever you're going through. Thank you again. First comment comes from OK Replacement 7697. Do your children know what happened? Does she regret it? Did she ask you to forgive her? How is she doing now? When was the last time she asked you to reconcile? Did she realize her mistake? What do people think about her? Your in-laws and all the people who noticed the change. Is she still with the affair partner? Is she still working there? Now you are a person who can see things as they are, and you are free from all that relationship in which you were only suffering. Congratulations, and I hope you continue to improve and find someone worthwhile. The OP responds, My 2 oldest know what happened. As a matter of fact, my 12-year-old caught her mom with the affair partner. It was a crap show. I kept my bearing for her and supported my 12-year-old through that devastation. I think deep down she regrets it. Honestly, I think she regrets the financial loss more than anything. Sad but true. She is a typical narcissist and doesn't admit wrongdoing. As far as reconciling, that ship has left. She never asked for reconciliation, and she is too proud and in too deep now to ask. Now she lives in a 3-bedroom apartment, living paycheck to paycheck, depressed and seeking counseling. Her parents and her entire family shunned her for what she did to the kids and the way she ended things. She made a scene anywhere and everywhere. She could have been a big girl and ended things right. Instead, she ended the marriage with a bang, cheating twice, and the 2 oldest kids finding out. There are many details I left out for privacy reasons, but I thought I was going to be on the show Dateline. It was so crazy. She hasn't spoken to her own father in over a year because of this. I think she realizes her mistake and that she did things wrong. All our mutual friends cut her off, but at the same time, I cut them off because they were toxic and were more interested in the drama. Moving on. An ultimate realization. This is a bit of an older story, but it still haunts me to this day. I have been cheated on several times in the past, but I think this one was truly the most disrespectful encounter of all for me. Edit. This took place 7+ years ago. I've moved on. It's just here for the story now. I was a young professional finding my way in the world. My girlfriend at that point in time had moved in with me extremely fast in the relationship. She was supposed to move in temporarily, then once she landed on her feet, she would get her own place. Unfortunately, medical issues and career path conflicted with each other heavily. Hindsight, she really didn't think through anything. Suffering from epilepsy and pursuing a career as a photographer. She was unable to tap into the industry since she could not work with strobe lighting, due to the fact she had epilepsy. She ended up never moving out, and her parents paid her half for everything. We lived together for about 2 years. Since she had expensive taste and high expectations, we had to constantly upgrade apartments to ones that were just barely within our budget. Eventually, we landed in a place that was perfect for everyone. I was slowly making more money, and she got a standard servicing job serving ice cream. I began to have suspicions that she was speaking with other men. Fast forward some time, intimacy fizzled out, her epilepsy began to get worse as her stress got worse. What made things worse was she was hiding her drinking and cocaine use from her neurologist, parents, and myself. Ultimately, she blamed that I put too much stress on her. My request of her doing her own laundry and cleaning up after herself was adding unnecessary stress. The bread of the story. I was tasked with going to another country for work for roughly a month and a half, clear across the other side of the world. So I understood I wouldn't get to speak to her often, but obviously everything would be fine. During the entire month and a half I was away, she spoke to me twice via text message. When I returned, I drove home to happily see the girlfriend I ever so dearly missed. Returning to our home, she was not there and at work. Literally destroyed. Broken glass throughout the kitchen, my wine glasses filled with cigarette and weed ashes from a bowl, slamming the side of the pipe to empty it in a wine glass. Still boggles my mind. Piles of clothes 6 feet tall, as she said she had a clothes party where her and her friends tried on all of her old clothes. I got upstairs, crying, still coping with the jet lag. I get into bed, finding dude's boxers that aren't mine. Empty condom wrappers on her side. I freaking died, you guys. Devastated. She arrives at home screaming, "Oh, crap!" Completely drunk and forgot I was coming home. I confronted her. She made a lot of excuses and she begged for forgiveness. I'm a young, sad boy. I, of course, forgive her with broken trust for whatever reason. Fast forward 1 month. We move out, going separate places, but remain together. I didn't hear from her for about 2 weeks and called her on my birthday. She said it was best we break up, then asked if she can take me out to dinner for my birthday. The audacity, right? No, I think this is a gift enough. Absolutely crazy how terrible and selfish people can be. Next story. I suspect I was cheated on. Need advice and second opinion. A bit of backstory. My fiance comes from a Christian family. We started a relationship 2 years ago in a very normal way. Both very attracted to each other, great sex frequently, dates, etc. I eventually proposed and she moved in with me around 3 months ago. We set a wedding date of some time in 2023. After moving in with me, she said she started feeling guilty about having sex before marriage and proposed that we get officially married, just the legal paperwork, ASAP, while still having the proposed wedding in 2023. That threw me off, but I put myself in her shoes and understood, so we agreed to do it. The night before we were supposed to get legally married, she brought up that she feels anxious about it and she doesn't think she's ready yet, since she's so young. Again, it threw me off a little bit, but I understood and didn't think much of it afterwards. Here comes the day, about 1.5 weeks after we decided not to get married yet, where I left work and called her. But she didn't respond. Earlier that day, she said she was going to have a personal day since she was off and I was at work, so I didn't think much of it, thinking she's out and about. After 30 minutes, still no callback. Unusual. So I started worrying that something happened. I call her one more time, and again, she doesn't respond. I then check her location, and it shows she's at a random house. We started sharing locations around the beginning of our relationship for safety because she has a fear of being kidnapped. The location was updating live. It's not like she didn't have a signal where the phone shows a wide circle with a general area. She calls me back right after I called her a second time, and I jokingly asked if she got kidnapped. She sounded weird on the phone and didn't give me many details, but said she's at a shopping mall about to leave and come home. And when I tried to talk more, she said she couldn't hear me anymore, but I was hearing her just fine, so we ended the call. Her location was still showing she's at the house, and 5 minutes later when I checked it again, the location was showing her driving towards home from a location that's opposite of where she said she was, but also on the route she'd have to take to drive home from that house. The location was updating live and it literally showed her driving down the road. My gut feeling started kicking in. When she got home, she went right to the shower. Very unusual. I did notice her bodysuit was unbuttoned through her pants. She got out of the shower and went in bed saying she had a headache. She acted off. So I tried talking to her and noticed she smells like alcohol, which she denied. I let her rest since she had a headache and tried to go to sleep as well, but I couldn't fall asleep because my gut feeling was off the charts to the point where I started thinking she cheated on me. So I played different scenarios in my head. An idea came to me that if she cheated, her panties would be wet. So I checked the clothes basket and sure enough, they were very wet. At this point, I came back to the room, woke her up, and told her about my worries. Phone calls, bodysuit, shower right away, wet panties. She ignored my bodysuit comment and said the wetness was because of discharge, which is a valid point. The conversation was still off, and I let it go because she said she had a headache and was sleepy. Couldn't sleep all night. I told myself I will talk to her in the morning, and if stuff still doesn't add up, I will break up with her. In the morning, I resumed the conversation and asked her to tell me the truth, since things weren't adding up. I asked her to tell me where she was, because what she was saying didn't match the location I saw, but she kept saying she was at the mall. At that point, I told her we're breaking up, and to pack her stuff. She went to the bedroom, and after a while, she asked to talk about it. She then told me she actually drank that night, but didn't want to tell me because I would get upset for her drinking and driving. Begged me not to break up with her, and that she loves me, so I didn't. We talked through all the things I noticed. Said earlier that day before the mall, she went to a coffee shop by herself and got some beers. This is very unusual for her. Her bodysuit was unbuttoned because she went to pee and was too drunk to button it back. She went straight to the shower when she got home to try to get the alcohol smell out of her. Panties were wet because of discharge. Location was a bug, and she was actually at the mall when we talked on the phone. I want to trust her, but my gut feeling is still off. I posted this here because I need other opinions. If I were to trust her, all those things would add up. But should I trust my gut feeling on her? What do you all think? First comment from Lone Wolf 369963. Universe is giving you chances again and again to save yourself. 1. You almost married her on papers. 2. You saw the red flags and were right. She lied to you again and again, so the trust issues will be there in the relationship from now on. Also, her story seems weird and her timing is weirder. She took time to tell you the truth after you told her about the breakup part. Seems like she took her time to come up with a made-up story. I mean, if her reasoning for lying was really her drinking and driving, she would have come up with the truth the moment you threw the breakup card. If you wish to work on the relationship, then that's on you, but don't let your guard down. Last comment from Pereira 1955. Hi, OP. You gave her too much time to invent a story that adds up. So, now, you have two options. 1. Dump her right away. 2. If she cheated on you, she is a cheater and cheaters don't cheat only once. They cheat till you let them do it. So time to put you on PI mode.